Hi everyone, good morning. I'm doing my next section of my John Maxwell, and this is going to be the final chapter of this book, The 21 Most Powerful Minutes in a Leader's Day. I'm focusing on the law of legacy. So for today, the scripture that John Maxwell has given is abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy may be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. And that's from John 15, 9-12. And the leadership thought for today is legacies are not left by accident. So what we do, we have to be intentional about what we are doing. Especially in our workplaces, it's important because the small things add up and they lead to the big things. And for me, I like focusing on the small things. Yes, I have been responsible for running departments and running administration and training other executive assistants. But for me, I prefer to do the small things. I prefer working independently and focusing on my own work, and then joining with the team when I need to. So it may be true that history judges the results of our actions. We are responsible for our efforts. No one leaves a legacy by accident. So all of us have to make an effort for how we want our lives to turn out. There are circumstances that come against us. There's racism, there's systemic injustice, there's what's happened now at TD with this drug cartels and the gift cards that people were taking. And for me, it hurts me. I didn't find it funny. I don't know why they have this, they had this LOL culture, laugh out loud culture. And to me, it's strange, but I guess if you don't care about the work that you're doing, and if you don't care about the public, or you don't care about the executives you're supporting, and you don't care whether people like you or not, then I guess that's the way that you do it. I really don't know, but for me it hurts a little more because I worked with many of the senior leaders, and I know that when I left TD, I left things better than I had found them all those years ago, and I remained a loyal customer of theirs. So it hurts a little more for me. And the same thing with Credit Suisse. I cared about the work I was doing, and I cared about the people I worked with, and I liked them. So it hurt when all the news came out and everything came out. It wasn't about the money. Yes, the money is important because it allows us to do things, but that hurt is very deep. When you put in all your time, you put in your effort, you put in the right things, and you get a sour crop, it doesn't leave you with a good feeling. So we are responsible for our efforts, and we have to decide what it is that we're willing to give up. So for me, I had to give up being approved of, because with whatever I did, people didn't believe me. I mean, they called me delusional. They said I was like this. They said I was the problem. They said I was the one causing the situation. And that hurt me. But I was fortunate and I was blessed. I had good friends. I had my cousins that I grew up with in Zimbabwe. And I had encouragement. I had people that came alongside me. And that helped me. It's the same thing with my weight loss. I know I put on a lot of weight and I had to lose the weight. So again, it's my inner circle that I turn to. It's the cousins I grew up with in Zimbabwe. It's the friends I went to university with. And looking up things, what did they do, so that I can also follow that or learn from that and do it on my own. And it's not as easy to do it when you're on your own. It's a lot harder. Whereas in Zimbabwe, we had a club. We used to go to the club together. We used to exercise at the club. We had friends that we met up with. Here, I'm doing it on my own, but I've come to enjoy it. I like being flexible. I like having my time to do things when I want to do them. And yes, you miss doing it with other people, but if that's the way life turns out for you, then you have to do it, especially as a migrant in Canada. And I am blessed that I live in a nice area. I can go out, I can go to the parks. I can, even if I do the same route every day, I can look at things with fresh eyes every day. And so I give things up that I like. And I take on other things. I take on exercising. I take on reading. I take on learning. And it's the same thing with the banks. I could keep quiet and say, oh, well, it's got nothing to do with me, so why should I get involved? But at the end of the day, it will come back on me because I bank with them. And it's our economy that will get affected, not just the US. Canada will get affected on the international stage. So I have to be willing to give up that approval and that feeling good, feeling respected. I have to be willing to give that up in the short term for the long term. And then the second point, take the initiative to start the process. So when we speak to people, we can share our views, we can take a stand on what we believe in. It's the same thing with my volunteering with the One campaign. A lot of people don't support it. They might support Bono and the U2 music, but they don't support those initiatives which are aligned to that music. So again, I have to decide whether I'm willing to take that initiative and to do what I'm doing or to walk away from that. And it's important to me because it does affect Canada. If we don't fight for fair trade, for human rights, for justice, those things all come back on Canada because it affects our reputation on the world stage. So even if people don't want to do it to help Africa, they have an incentive to do it, and I have an incentive to do it for Canada. And with this talk that I'm doing and with all my John Maxwell, my focus has always been on migrants. So I could say, well, why should I care? No one helped me. Nobody did for me what I'm doing for others. So let them do it and let them learn the hard way. But then how do things get better? How do things improve, and how does our integration get better? Because I'm certainly not where I want to be in terms of my earning power, in terms of my personal power, in terms of my influence. I'm not where I want to be. But that doesn't mean that I give up. I still do whatever I can, and I still work for what I can. I still belong to the HRPA. I still go to events. I still learn from that. And I do my own learning. Because now, even with my job search, I have to learn how to do my resume in a way that AI will pick up the keywords so that I at least stand a chance of getting an interview. Because today everything is moving to the AI world. It's not like before when I met with people. I would meet with people even from the Newman Center, help them to do their cover letters, help them to do their resumes, tell them what to focus on, do testing with them like behavioral interview questions. I used to do all that for free. I never ever charged anyone because I know how hard it is and I know what I had to go through. So that's why I do it, because if we want to live in Canada and we want to be integrated in this country, then we have to be willing to help others and do for others what people wouldn't do for us. And then the third point, know your goals with each person. So each person is an individual. I am not like my friends. My friends are not like me. For example, with the tennis, I don't have one friend that likes to go watch tennis. So I go on my own. It's the same thing with the movies. I watch my movies at home now on TV because it's expensive to go out to go see a movie. And even with my with my coffees and teas. You might see once in a couple of months I'll go and get a Tim Hortons, if that. Most of the time I'll make my things at home because I'm willing to do that at home rather than go out every week and buy a coffee. For me, it's a treat to go out and to get a Tim Hortons or to get a Starbucks. It's not something that I do on a weekly basis or on a daily basis. Whereas I have some of my friends who they might go every day and get a Tim Hortons, or they might go every week and get a Tim Hortons. So we are different, and we have to, as individuals, decide what we want to do until we can get to the place where we can do what we want. And the scriptures do tell us that Jesus chose individuals to follow him. There were a lot of people he could have chosen, but he chose the people that would be good on his team, the people he wanted with him. And even the women that were with him, he chose them. So in the same way, we also have to choose what organizations we want to belong to, what friendships we have, how we're giving our time, because that's how we will leave our legacy. And then the fifth point is prepare to pass the baton well. So if you look at what happens in the sports world, so for me, I like tennis. I'll focus on tennis. You see, when Serena Williams resigned, when Venus Williams resigned, I saw them play live. So I don't like anyone the way I like them, but I like the other players. I go and I watch the women's tennis, but there are other people that learned from them, that watched them, and that copied their style or copied how they play. And that's how we learn in the workplace. We have to have people that we can learn from, whether it's our supervisors or our managers or somebody. The same way that I trained other executive assistants when I worked in different companies here in England, in Zimbabwe. Even some of my friends, I trained them when we worked together at Sable. And I helped them, I coached them, I mentored them. So we have to be willing to pass that baton on, because then when we leave, when we're ready for that next opportunity, then they can step into those roles. Otherwise, how are we going to, first of all, get that next opportunity? And how are other people going to come up? That's why we go to school, we go to university. If everybody had to learn things from scratch, we would still be living in the Stone Ages. And it's the same with technology. So I go on, I learn about the new interviewing techniques, I learn about what programs are available that can help me with my resume, like Canva. I explore them, I look at them, I look at marketing programs, I look at different flyers, different presentation methods, because I'm not going to get that anywhere else. I have to do it for myself. And I use those in my job search. I use that when I'm meeting with people, talking to people. And I don't hide the hurt that I feel of what's happened with the banks. I have no reason to hide it, because I cared about what I did, and I cared about the work that I did. I cared about being an executive assistant, and I took a lot of pride in my work. So I don't have to hide it, and I tell people. And that's how we pass things on, because if people can see that we care, they will also care. If people say, oh, well, they don't care, so why should we care? Then that's how it will end. So those are the main points for today. I've tried to cover them using my own life and my own examples for migrants coming to Canada. And you can also look at Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey is a book that we read when we were in high school. I can't remember the name. I think it was Going from Good to Great, and there was one other one before that. But basically, looking at your life, imagining that you are lying in your coffin, and what legacy is it that you would want to leave? What is it that you would want people to say about you at your funeral? if they came to your funeral. That's something that we had to do. It's and one of the exercises we had to do in high school. So you can do that as well if you want to do it for your perspective, to get your perspective of what legacy you would like to leave. What are you doing today to leave your legacy tomorrow? That's the question that John Maxwell asks us to focus on. And that's what I'm focusing on. I still don't have a job, but I'm still applying and hoping that something opens up for me. And that's all I can do. I can keep applying. I can go out, talk to people, keep checking for help wanted signs, and also keep doing the speaking so that it helps other migrants coming to Canada. And for me, I like things on demand. Like, I don't schedule. A lot of speakers will schedule their time and they'll say, I'm presenting at this time, 10 a.m. every day, the video's coming out, or 11 a.m. every day, you're getting your email from an organization. So me, I like my freedom. I like to do things as and when I can. And that's why I upload the videos and I leave them there. And then when people have time, when it's convenient for them, they can go and they can listen if they want. They can rewind, they can replay, because that's the type of person I am. So other people like more scheduled. They like to have things scheduled to say, okay, I know every Saturday at 10 a.m. or at 12 a.m. I'm going to watch this video. So we're all different, but that's how I like to do mine.